The Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 marketplace just exploded with an overwhelming amount of content, bringing a massive mix of high-detail regional airports, historical airfields and sprawling city overhauls. Whether you enjoy low-level helicopter operations, vintage aviation or high-altitude airline approaches, this week covers absolutely everything. We are looking at highly anticipated scenery upgrades from the big names like ORBX and Fly Too High, alongside a tidal wave of VFR, object enhancements and night lightning updates from Dream Scenery. There are dozens of new entries to sort through, so let's find out which ones deserve a spot in your simulator. To make sense of this massive drop, I've organized the latest releases into 4 logical categories: modern airports, the 1935 vintage collection, global cityscapes and the regional VFR enhancements. Let's start on the tarmac with our modern airports. Nashville International Airport, Kilo Bravo November Alpha from Dominic Design Team. This airport is an international airport. It has a public and military part in the southern section of Nashville, Tennessee, United States. It was established already a long time ago, 1937, and its original name was the Berry Field, from which its ICAO and IATA identifiers are derived. The aircraft is compatible with Flight Simulator 2024. It's a full version of the aircraft, or airport, sorry. PBR textures, dynamic lighting, real ground markings. There's some custom things like the painstakingly handcrafted pavement, showcasing all imperfections including dirt, custom jetways, custom animated objects, passenger animation, and they added AI aircraft parking codes, ground layer custom, and the handcraft taxiway signs. And this is the airport. You can see it also has the interior and of course the exterior with those jetways. This is the interior again. You can see also a lot of detail and a lot of screenshots from the interior. So let's hope they also include some external pictures, and here you can see those pictures. Also during the night, this airport looks pretty nice. The next one in the list is Birmingham Shuttlesworth International Airport, Kilo Bravo Hotel Mike by Fly Too High. This airport is located in Alabama, USA. It's a high detail airport for Flight Simulator 2024. It comes with a lot of things. Let's look at what they included. First of all, they have included both the day and light enhancements, right? Which means that they included the night lightning. Also, there's a GSX profile for those who are using GSX that works also with this package. If we look at the bottom, custom jetways optimized for performance, custom ground textures, and highly detailed and accurate airport layout. Well, let's see how it looks like. These are some pictures which they provided. You can see the taxiways. You can see also the wear and tear on the buildings. You can see aircraft being parked. Also the non-airport facing side. Looks nice. The interior of the terminal building. Then some supporting buildings, of course. The traffic tower is there. Custom ground services. Some fences and some other buildings. And some supporting buildings again, or some smaller ramps, and that's it. But it looks, I'll say, pretty cool. Mount Cook Region 2024 version 2, November Zulu Mike Charlie from NZA Simulations. This is a version 2 of the package, and it says here, okay, experience the heart of New Zealand's Southern Alps with the all-new Mount Cook Region 2024. It's a complete rebuild designed exclusively for Flight Simulator 2024. There are 2 airports, 2 heliports, and there are of course a lot of detailed things such as, I would say, landmark mountain huts, including Plateau Hut, Sefton Bivol and Ball Hut, and landmarks with point markers. So this is not a normal package, but this is a package which covers an entire area. Again, with 2 airports, 2 heliports, what do you want more? Well, let's have a look at it. So this is the area which they're covering, right? Including the ICAO codes, including some, I would say, point of interest. And this is how it looks like. So you can see the airports. You can also see those special buildings. Really cool screenshots. Some other airports. And this is what you will discover if you buy this package. I must say, it looks pretty nice, right? So if you love if you love flying in this area, then I would say consider having a look at this one at least, and then decide wisely. Because it's a great area which they cover with a lot of detail, a lot of different scenarios as you can see. 2 heliports, 2 airports, so a nice package. Echo Bravo Charlie India, Brussels Charleroi Airport. But before we're gonna look at the airport, I would say at least the addition, let's look at how it currently looks like. So welcome to Brussels South, also known as Charleroi Airport. This is the default scenery in Flight Simulator 2024. As you can see, there are a lot of surrounding buildings, so that's good. But if we coming closer to those buildings, you will see that there's not so much detail. For example, if you look at the terminal building, we're almost there, you can see that it doesn't contain any windows, so we can't look inside the terminal building. You also see that, let's say, the number of let's say aircraft is pretty nice, but there are no ground surfaces, and the ground surfaces are using the default ground surfaces included in Flight Simulator 2024. You see that the variety of aircraft is a little bit big, which is I'd say cool. Also the parking spots, etc. are not that detailed. So although it's nice and it contains some buildings, it likely doesn't have the high level detail which is contained in the package. But let's jump to the package. So we're back. Let's have a look at how it looks like, right? This, by the way, is Belgium's second busiest airport, and it's a major hub for low-cost carriers connecting millions of passengers to destinations across Europe and beyond. Let's say they call it Brussels South, but to be honest, it's 60 kilometers from the capital, so it's not really close by. If we look at the screenshots, well, if we compare this with the default scenery, you can see already a lot of detail, especially if you look at the buildings, but also at the, let's say, aprons, at some other supporting things like the refueling facilities. This looks really nice. Frankfurt Egelsbach, Echo Delta Foxtrot Echo by beautiful model of the world. This airport is a detailed recreation of one of Germany's most important general and business aviation airports, located in the heart of Rhine-Main region, just minutes away from Frankfurt Airport, which is a really big one. It's mostly used for, I'd say, short VFR flights, training routes, regional operations, and business aviation scenarios across central Germany. If we scroll down, we can see the images, and this is how it looks like, right? You can see there's a bar, there's a lot of, let's say, additional components which I have added, which makes it more realistic compared to the default scenery in Flight Simulator 2024. Tulsa Riverside Airport, Kilo Romeo Victor Sierra, from flight to high. Before we're gonna dive into the package, let's first look at how it currently looks like in Flight Simulator 2024. Welcome at Tulsa Riverside Airport. This is the default scenery in Flight Simulator 2024. You can see the multiple runways. Also, the use on runways is pretty nice. We can see a lot of supporting buildings over there. Let me speed up the drone a bit. And those buildings are looking, let's say, okay. I would say there's some wear and tear. There's different types of buildings. And if we would move to the other section, we can also see that it contains some bigger hangars, as it looks like. Once we visited this one, let's zoom into the other buildings. And these other buildings are also the hangar buildings. We can see the traffic tower. So it already looks, I would say, pretty okay. But I'm really curious, what did the developer add to make it really, let's say, an improvement for Flight Simulator 2024. So let's have a look at it. So this airport, right, this pack, what does it deliver? It says it delivers the highly detailed recreation of the airport, layout, custom ground textures, realistic night lighting, handcrafted buildings, and optimized for performance. And if we scroll down, we can see the enhancements they made. And I must say, if you look at the price, I was initially, I would say, kind of a little bit doubting, okay, it does really add value. But if you compare it with the default scenery, which we just did, you can see that it really adds some additional value. It adds wear and tear, it adds hangars, it adds supporting buildings. So it looks like this one could be, you'd say, something which you might want to put on your list. If you love flying helicopters, the St. Johann Heliport Lima Oscar Sierra Juliet is one which you might want to put on your list, because this is the air heliport which is located in the province of Salzburg in Austria, directly on the Salzach River. It's a private TV station once filmed a series as the old heliport against the picturesque alpine backdrop, and the main character of which was a striking rescue helicopter. If we scroll down, we can see what's included, right? It's a true to original representation of the heliport, 4 parking positions. They recreated 3D buildings, small details were added such as a hand-built windsock, accurate night lighting. So let's have a look at it. So this is the airport, or the heliport. You can see it contains hangars, it contains some supporting buildings for the restaurants. It also contains some parked helicopters. And that's everything they provide. I would love to see more pictures, but unfortunately there are not more. So I would say have a closer look and then decide if this is something for you. José Celestino Mutis Airport, Sierra Kilo Bravo Sierra. This airport is created by Sofa Corporation in partnership with Global Design. It's a commercial airport located 3 kilometers from the municipality of Bahia Azulano, Choco in Colombia. It has highly detailed models with high resolution PBR textures, up-to-date runway, taxiway apron and stand layouts, custom and accurate taxiway signage, and realistic dynamic lighting. Let's see if we can see something on the screenshots. You can see it's a small airport with a runway, with an interior, with some other nice enhancements which they added to the airport. Again, not too many screenshots like some previous things we also looked at, but I would say it looks pretty okay. Florencia Airport, Sierra Kilo Foxtrot Lima. This airport has also been developed by Sofa Corporation. So let's quickly jump to the screenshots. Here we can see that they added a lot of detail to the terminal building and also to the, I would say, refueling facilities. But it's unclear on how much things they have added to, for example, the taxiways and the aprons. It looks like that they made some modifications, but I'm not 100% sure about this. And now it's time to go back into history with the 1935 historical collection. The first one is Salvador Bahia Airport, Sierra Bravo Sierra Victor from Red Wing. This will bring you back to 1935. It has 4K textures, detailed 30s buildings, cars and trucks, as well as dynamic flags and windsocks, and static 30s aircrafts. If you look at it, there are not too many pictures, but it really brings you back in time. And it's super cool to see. At least if you love history. Natal Parnamirim Airport is the second one in this category. It's the ICAO code, Sierra Bravo November Tango. Same thing as here, right? 30s buildings, 30s cars, 30s aircrafts, and illumination has also been adjusted. And this is how the airport looks like. In most cases, they don't focus on really big airports, but always small airports. And if you know where I'm talking about Red Wing, because they're the main contributor in this 1935 historical collection. Recife Municipal Airport, also 1935 style. Same thing, 30s buildings, cars and trucks, 30s aircrafts, and also illumination has been adjusted. This one is a little bit bigger. It also contains a little bit more details compared to the previous two. And I would say I like this one also, the Zeppelin right also over here. Really nice. And the last one in this section, Victoria Airfield, Sierra Bravo Victor Tango, also from Red Wing. Same thing, right? Old style buildings, old style vehicles. What do you want more? If you love history, if you love to fly in the past, then simply these are packages which you could consider to buy. Global Cityscapes and Landmarks. That's the section which we arrived now. And the first one is the Landmark Singapore City Pack. This pack was already released last week, but for some reason we didn't include it. So going to it now. This is created by ORBX and the present is a joint project of our Heaven studio with a True Eat Teams. And it resulted in this nice package. So this nice package is part of the Landscape and Cityscape series, where previously Sydney, London and Paris were already released in, but now they're focusing on this part. It contains 20 high detail custom landmarks, including Super Tree Grove, Helix Bridge, Marine One, Fullerton Hotel and the Supreme Court buildings, 109 medium detail custom landmarks, balancing quality and performance, and then highly detailed Singapore cable car with animated gondolas. Extensive terraforming is done, unique laser lights on the Marine Bay Sands Hotel, and a custom night lighting also being added. So let's quickly jump to the screenshots because I'm curious. And you can see this is high detail. This adds a lot of detail to the scenery of Flight Simulator 2024, as you can imagine, because this is by default, not included, I can guarantee you. So super nice, this package. And the next one in section is Jakarta Cityscape by AC Scenery. But before looking at this one, we're gonna look at how it currently looks like in Flight Simulator 2024. Welcome to Jakarta. What you're currently looking at is the default scenery in Flight Simulator 2024. You can see that it already contains a lot of buildings and also a lot of detail, including some sport facilities and also a lot of heliports. If you love to fly with a helicopter and are searching for a location which has a lot of options where you can land or can take off from heliports, then have a look at Jakarta. Of course, the question is, how realistic is it? Well, looking at this, it's nice, but there are a lot of details missing, as it looks like if we look at the buildings, they're looking kind of default. A lot of high towers, but you can also see that the city is pretty big. And I'm curious, what did the developer actually cover? So let's have a look at the screenshots they provided. So now we've seen the default scenery, let's look what's included in this one. So first of all, Jakarta is the capital and the largest city in Indonesia, lying on the northwest coast of Java, the world's most populous island. It has a lot of things. There are 150 custom hand-built buildings, night textures, PBR textures, and it's compatible with also a third-party solution. And as you look at this, well, you can already see it. This is never included in Flight Simulator default scenery. If you look at the details, it looks super cool. Although some of the buildings, I do think that they would be, I would say, look a little bit too clean, if you ask me. But maybe it's that's the real face. I'm not sure. But this is how it looks like. So nice one. I would say a lot of additions compared to the default scenery in Flight Simulator 2024. DF Fly Direct, they've been really busy this week because they released 4 packages. The first one is Landmarks Montreal, where they added a lot of additions to the city of Montreal. As you can see, a lot of night lighting, a lot of buildings are added, and these buildings are also, I'd say, a little bit more detailed compared to some of the other developers. I would say I like this one because it adds also bridges, as it looks like, some water fixes. So this is something which you could consider to buy if you love flying in the Montreal area. New Orleans is another package which DF Fly Direct has touched. It, I would say, also contains 100 crafted buildings. And you can see that this one also adds a lot of detail. Compared with the default scenery, I'm not going to do it for you, but you need to do it yourself. But believe me, if you do it, you will see definitely some differences with the default scenery of Flight Simulator 2024. So it's a busy week for DF Fly Direct. They've released a lot of packages. Because the third one they released is Rio de Janeiro, also landmarks, 350 handcrafted buildings. So they keep up the pace. And also for Rio de Janeiro, you can see a lot of details have been added, including wear and tear on some of the buildings, which you know I really love. And the last one from DF Fly Direct, and also the last one in this section, is Landmark San Antonio, 75 plus handcrafted buildings. Also here you can see that they add a lot of details to those buildings, a little bit less wear and tear, I must say, at least not on all the buildings. But also the night lighting has definitely improved compared to the default scenery in Flight Simulator 2024. And then we arrived at the massive utility dump, right? It contains both the VFR objects as well as the night enhancements. So what I decided to do is not go to all of them, but simply group them together. So first of all, the VFR objects. We've got the Venice region, the Phoenix region, and the Buffalo and Niagara Falls. I'm only going to show you one because I don't think it makes sense to look at all of them individually. What you need to know about these packages is that they're mostly focusing on the industry area. And let me show it for Venice, for example. Because if you see the pictures, you know what I mean. This is the, I would say, Venice one, where you can see that they focus on the industry and not so much on the city itself. So be aware of that. Although it's called VFR package, they will only focus on the industrial part of these regions. If you still think it adds value, then you could consider to buy them. Besides Venice, there's another one, or there are a few other ones. So let me show you quickly. Because also for Singapore, Louisville, Chicago, Germany, North Sea and Boston region, as well as Atlanta region, they released similar packages. So if you love to upgrade your industry area, then have a look at these packages and then choose one, because it really adds value, believe me. Compare it with the default scenery and then compare it with the real scenery and you will see differences. For those who want to see some differences, have a look at one of my previous videos where I also compared the default scenery with the images provided by Dream Scenery. I still would encourage them to provide before-after pictures to add more value to their, I'd say, utilities. The second part of this group is of course the night enhancements, where you see Liverpool, Manchester, Klagenfurt, Innsbruck, Alicante, Cartagena, Astana, and then we've got Addis Ababa, which is the last one. Here they updated the lighting in the cities because it's called Night Enhanced. So they didn't update the roads, which they also sometimes do. In this case, they enhanced the lighting throughout the city, which adds a lot of more realism. If we would go to Liverpool and Manchester, for example, you will see that they have added a lot of lights. And not only the roads, but also the rest of the city has now received updates. Here you can see some buildings. And if we scroll further, you can see that they added that. And this is the same thing which they applied to those other packages. From the massive terminal overhauls at Nashville and Birmingham to the stunning architectural updates across Singapore and Jakarta, the marketplace has completely changed the game for VFR and IFR pilots alike this week. The sheer volume of regional object packs we received ensures that no matter where you fly, the world looks less generic. I want to hear your thoughts. Are you going to be exploring the historical 9035 strips in South America, or are you upgrading your modern airliner routes with Nashville? Let me know in the comments below which of these incredible packages is landing on your hard drive first. If this comprehensive marketplace breakdown helped you plan your next route in Flight Simulator 2024, make sure to hit that like button. Thanks for watching and I'll see you back next week.